Welcome to For Your Amusement, a theme park podcast that aims to exhaustively evaluate the world's most popular theme park attractions to determine if they are world-class. I'm Brian Bergara.
I'm Byron Marin.
And for this episode's featured attraction, we catch a cab to Monstropolis to discuss Monsters, Inc., Mike and Sulley to the rescue in Disney California Adventure. And splitting the fare with us today is none other than our dear pal and former host of the saddest podcast on Earth with us, Amanda Pham. If you didn't know, we did host a podcast over the pandemic. This is when everything was closed, and as a way to not miss Disneyland, we talked about Disney.
We met up at a park.
That's true. You have to point that out. We met at a park outdoors, sat very far away from each other in lawn chairs, and then just talked about churros and shit like that. It was a fun time. I actually missed that quite a bit. Maybe one day we'll bring that format back in some way on this show. I don't know. It'll be hard because it's not just one park. But thank you for joining us, Amanda.
Oh my God. So happy to be here. And you guys have been doing such a good job.
Oh, thank you, Amanda. You know, we've had plenty of people ask us, where is Amanda?
Really?
The insinuation being that we killed you or something.
Yeah, I know. Well, I just feel like your scope of knowledge outside of Disneyland is so vast.
I see. I appreciate that. Thank you. I do consider myself a scholar.
We want you here for the vibes.
No, absolutely.
You just couldn't escape this, so thank you for coming in.
You guys know, like, what kind of paint they use for, like, the door that is in, like, whatever, right? And then I just know where to get, like, the best corn dogs.
So you're basically saying that you're, like, a normal theme park fan and that we are, like, kind of psychos.
Okay, but I will say I'm useful in the sense of, like, if you need to, like, shit, I know, like, the best bathroom to shit at. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very specific needs, like, for the guest experience versus you guys can give the VIP tour, the plaid tour.
Yeah.
And, like, the history of it and, like, what kind of popcorn they fucking buy.
We're giving the brochure facts. You're giving the boots on the ground investigation kind of stuff. Like where if you're in a pinch and you need to pinch one off.
Yeah. Time efficiency.
Where do you go?
Because the truth of the matter is most park guests are not going there like, oh, this was created in this year by this Imagineer, and this is why this is very important to me. It's just like I'm having a good time or I'm not having a good time.
That's true. I do annoy people sometimes when I go to theme parks. Like, oh, did you know this is? And then sometimes like some person will be with me and be like, oh, did you know you could shut the fuck up?
Yeah. No, I fucking love it. I appreciate it. I love talking to you guys, and I do like the hidden Mickey stuff or like.
That's true. You are
those little things.
You're a hidden Mickey savant.
Perhaps.
I will say, too, for those who didn't know the format of Saddest Podcast on Earth, it was basically a show around top 5. So you would do like top 5 Disneyland rides, top 5 Disneyland snacks, and things like that. And going back to what Amanda said at the beginning of this, she truly is an expert at the bathrooms because she wanted so badly to do top 5 Disneyland bathrooms.
We never did that, right?
That's like the most useful for people.
We almost did so many times.
After a certain point, it's just going to be like, yeah, there's urinals in there.
Absolutely
there's nothing
not.
like crazy inside the bathroom that's going to differentiate.
Okay, music, soundtrack in the bathroom.
Oh, we're doing this right now.
The doors, the decor, perhaps even the efficiency.
The location, the proximity to other attractions,
correct.
Right?
Yeah. The next time I go to Disneyland, I'm going to go into every bathroom. And I'm going to take a video.
Yeah.
A 5 to 10 second ambient video just so you could see what the bathroom looks like, the ambiance, and I will send it to you and Byron, and I bet you would not be able to identify which bathroom I'm in.
Oh, shit. I love that.
Because Amanda and I, this is really nerdy, but actually all 3 of us used to do this because we all went to Chapman. We all went to college together. We used to send each other pictures of random places in Disneyland and be like, where is this? And it'd be the most obscure.
But you got it.
We should start doing that on our FYA pod socials, just random pictures of a certain place in the theme park.
Where am I?
I love the idea of because you like recording audio, like for memory
sound
purposes.
I record
love
sound
that
prints.
Concept. And so if you were to like stand in a spot at Disneyland, I think we can figure out where he is.
I have to get a little better at labeling them though, because I do this thing where I will pull out my voice memos and I'll just record
love that.
Where I'm at to remember that moment, because sound is one of like the more sound and scent. Those are the more prevalent senses when it comes to memory for me.
And then you can send us a flush
But I got to
one of
get
the
better at
bathrooms,
labeling
and
them.
Amanda's like, that's the Adventureland one.
I have a bunch of
Yeah.
sound prints now. They're just like Holiday Inn Express, March 10th. And I'm like, where the fuck? What does this mean? I don't know what this is. Anyways, we're here to talk about Monsters, Inc. So, Amanda.
Mike and Sulley to the rescue.
Mike
right?
and Sulley
The
to the
full-
rescue.
it's
I
got a
forgot
long name.
about the colon after. When we invite guests onto this show, not often, every time we ask them, what attraction would you like to cover? And Amanda immediately, without any alternates, Monsters Inc., Mike and Sulley to the rescue. I knew you liked this ride because you had mentioned it.
Yeah.
And I think I just tuned it out in the past, but now here we are.
But not to be a troll. Like I think I genuinely like.
There is
The-
no way.
It's just I feel like people never take it seriously.
But how much of that factors into why you like it? Is it because of the opinion, or is it because of the merit of the ride itself?
Perhaps.
That's the thing, is because there's a personal favorite,
Perhaps.
and then there's like one that you think is overall like a best ride. Like,
Right. Okay, like you can say Indiana. You can say space. Those totally.
You certainly could say those would be great choices.
Monsters is like one of the maybe I am swayed by the underdog story.
You're like
Which-
Shane Madej at this company. He's
Oh, yeah.
He's a contrarian by nature.
But I try not to be a devil's advocate. It's just Monsters has qualities that people don't appreciate.
and you know, we're gonna talk about them today.
We're gonna
And
talk
so,
we're going to talk about it.
And I'm sorry if I'm coming off harsh here at the top at Amanda. Her and I have an existing rapport. We've had this conversation before. Let's just put it that way.
And you'll see what happens and why. Because I can't even defend myself. So we'll see.
I know you don't typically know in-depth history, but do
Right.
you know history of this ride?
Yes, from a like obvious standpoint. Like
Oh, interesting.
this was like the limo, the superstar limo.
Oh, you got
totally.
it. You
Yeah.
crushed it. Do you know where
I
the nearest
watched-
bathroom is?
Yes, I do actually. Okay, it's the one next to the Hyperion, right?
Just to the left of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Byron, let's get into that history. I forgot why we were here for a second.
February 8th, 2001, Disney's California Adventure opens, and with that opening, tucked in the back left corner of Hollywoodland was a ride called Superstar Limo. Now, similar to the majority of starry-eyed dreamers who make their pilgrimage to Tinseltown in hopes of seeking fame and glory, reality would brutally strike down the original dream that the Imagineers had for this ill-fated attraction. You see, in the mid-90s, Imagineers envisioned this attraction to be a family-friendly thrill ride in which guests find themselves on a wild paparazzi chase through Hollywood, and would even feature short roller coaster segments as a means to bring to fruition what never came to be in the 1950s with Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Just like with Mr. Toad, this thrill ride would never come to be, because on August 31st, 1997, Diana, Princess of Wales, would die tragically in a car crash in which her driver was fleeing from the paparazzi. This forced Imagineers to abandon their idea of the ride being centered around a paparazzi chase, which would have obviously been misconstrued by guests to be an insensitive joke.
Yeah, I mean, it's look, let's be honest. It's not a great concept to begin with. Like, let's make a roller coaster based off of paparazzi chasing people.
Well, you know me, I just love roller coasters, but yeah.
Byron didn't give a
Byron,
shit.
like, I don't give a shit about the morals of that.
I ride roller coasters that just have nothing. It's
Is
just
there-
like, here's a roller coaster, big steel, 200-foot drop. Let's do it.
Is there a car with wheels and track? I'm there.
This unfortunate twist, in addition to massive budget cuts as a whole made to the development and construction of Disney's California Adventure, would force Imagineers to quickly pivot and scale down their lofty ideas for this attraction. The result was Superstar Limo, a slow-moving dark ride through what many guests perceive to be a Hollywood death trap of horrific B-list celebrity animatronics and tacky show scenes.
Well, wait a tick now. I resent the B-list
See,
moniker.
How are you gonna get me shit for Monsters Inc. if you're gonna defend like
He's just giving
I'm just saying it is like, well, this is, I guess, is a good segue to, have any of you two been on Superstar Limo?
I have been
Yeah,
on Superstar
I did.
Limo.
Okay, see, I have not.
Oh man.
So I would actually, I'm just going
I
off,
don't know if you have
what I've
You were
heard.
there
no, because
I
in
was-
the vicinity.
I was there because I went on preview day for pass holders back in 2001. My mom went by herself
yeah.
to
Your mom's
Superstar
like-
Limo because the rest of us got in line for what
Your
was
mom
at the time.
soloed Superstar Limo.
Hell yeah.
Okay, well, she doesn't do
Disney's
do
perhaps
roller
worst
coasters.
attraction.
She doesn't do roller coasters, and we all wanted to go on California Screamin', so she had to do something to buy. Like, we were in like a
Oh my
90-minute
God.
wait, And I actually had her text me last night because you know how I love these reviews now from my mom. This is my mom's review of Superstar Limo.
I can't wait to hear this.
It was like Buzz Lightyear, the Buzz Lightyear ride without the interactivity. All cheap cutouts of celebs back then and Hollywood stereotypes. The writer was the actor, and it ends with you reaching movie star status.
I love the inclusion of it was packed with celebrities and then comma back then.
Today's show is brought to you by Microdose Gummies. You know, it feels like every day I hear another benefit of microdosing. There are countless benefits already, and so many people are now relying on it to do all sorts of things, from helping with sleep, reducing anxiety, and my personal favorite, simply vibing out. Microdose gummies deliver perfect entry-level doses of THC that help you feel just the right amount of good. I also love these for how they help with my creativity. Creative work can be so fun and rewarding, but getting in that flow state is not always as easy as I like it to be. For me, microdose gummies can help clear all those blockers and really allow me to get in that zone to do some of my best work. Get 30% off your first order plus free shipping today at microdose.com. Promo code FYA. It's available nationwide. That's microdose.com, promo code FYA for 30% off and free shipping. Microdose.com, promo code FYA. Meow. Back to the show. This is why I put B-list on this description. I don't know exactly. Well,
Look,
I guess let's run through them, right?
There
was like Jackie Chan.
Well, there's
shit,
like
wasn't
Jackie
there?
Chan was A-list at
Jackie
the
Chan
time.
is A-list.
Yeah,
Jackie Chan's definitely A-list.
Yeah.
I think here's how I would describe A-list.
Drew Carey,
You're
I
walking
wouldn't
down
say.
any street and you're getting mobbed. That's A-list. So we have Jackie, A,
Okay.
Whoopi.
You know what that means, don't you, baby? You've arrived.
I think she's A.
I think she's there.
Regis is probably B.
Damn.
Drew Carey.
How about a map to your house, Drew Carey?
Sad. I think A. Wait, no. Sorry, Drew Carey. I was thinking Jim.
I
Drew
think
Carey.
B.
I think C,
he
maybe.
Well, he hosted Whose Line Is It Anyway at the time.
I think C.
And he was also on some sort of sitcom from my recollection.
Okay, he's Regis. No?
I don't think he's getting mobbed on the street, though.
No,
I think
I
like
think it's
if you're
a B.
seeing in a restaurant, like, yeah, what's up?
He was
Like,
very
but-
nice to people during the writer's strike, by the way. He made
Oh.
sure through the entirety of the writer's strike, any writer that went to Bob's Big Boy, the meal was on him.
Good to
Okay,
know.
so there's Drew Carey, there's Antonio Banderas, right?
He's probably A.
A.
He was, that's like what, around the time like Mask of
Soon.
Zorro and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
and then there was
too.
it was Melanie Griffith, Joan Rivers.
If the animatronics were like one higher quality, but also they chose better people, like for a younger audience, do you think it would have been better?
I think they would have needed to sculpt the animatronics less
Probably.
horrifically because they were all caricatures of like literal. They
Yeah, it
took
looks
like
like
a
they made fun of
caricature
them.
and then they made them into animatronics.
Yeah.
Especially the Joan Rivers animatronic that talks to you at the beginning of the ride in the queue.
This is Joan Rivers with today's entertainment headlines. Mystery Star hits LA.
Horrifying. There's only one reason why I'd like this ride to still exist, and it's just because if Superstar Limo existed today, it would be really funny. It would be really funny because half of the people that we mentioned are probably canceled.
You know who's not cancelable? The CDA.
That's true.
You can. We're going to get into that for
That's
sure.
true.
Back to the history. Although the park as a whole faced harsh criticism upon opening in 2001, it pales to comparison to the reputation that the ride received. And on January 11th, 2002, not even a year after its opening date, Superstar Limo would close permanently. Although the ride and structure would remain intact and sit dormant for 4 years. So this wasn't even like a technical closing. They were just like, this is so embarrassing. We're better off just shutting this thing down. And this is a park that didn't even have that many rides, so it would really be helpful for capacity
Yeah.
if they kept it running. But they, even with all that, they're like, let's just
Figure out.
let's just shut the lights off on this side of the park and just pretend it doesn't
Is that a
exist.
first? Has Disney ever had an attraction that was so embarrassing that they preferred to keep it shut down just because it would be too much for people to get on this? Because it would help. There weren't that many rides at California Adventure, like Byron just said. So the lines would have definitely been helped by there being another attraction, especially at this side of the park. And
Especially
yet-
one that's like kid, like
Yeah,
family
right.
friendly.
Then again, back in that time,
Tower was there.
No, it was not.
yet.
Oh,
Not
it
yet.
That was a
wasn't?
few years later,
Oh, shit.
yeah.
When
And
was
also-
Tower?
2005. I
Yeah,
Oh,
because
wow.
Superstar Limo when they're developing California Adventure, it was supposed to be the headliner of Hollywoodland. It was supposed to be an e-ticket.
Right.
And then it got scaled down so much. So after a couple of years of California Adventure being open, they're like, okay, we seriously do need to put an e-ticket in. And that's how they brought Tower of Terror open.
But also capacity-wise, you have to remember, nobody was going to California Adventure.
All right, let's get a move on, people.
Luckily for Disney, 2001 wasn't all that bad. They had teamed up with Pixar to release Monsters, Inc., which came out in November of that very year. It was met with praise from audiences and critics alike. So a few years after the film's release, Disney and Imagineering finally began to do something about where Superstar Limo was standing. Keep in mind at this time, we are still a couple years away from Disney announcing their big $1.1 billion renovation.
California Adventure, yeah.
So the Imagineers are still handcuffed financially when it comes to reskinning this attraction, which is, I mean, that's why they couldn't plow it down, basically. They couldn't just take the land and like start fresh. They're like, okay, like this is what you got. These are the bones.
No, you got to get creative. Sometimes you have financial constraints. I wanted to make this tiki room the size of a warehouse, but Stephen Lim said I could not do that. And unfortunately, now we're just sitting in this smaller tiki room, and I'll never forgive him.
Which I wonder if any of the Imagineers that were involved with Superstar Limo, if they were forced to come back and do Monsters, Inc., because it'd be really funny. It's like, hey, you know that last time we didn't like, you know, we took all the money away and then like, you know, you're kind of just forced to like throw this thing out there and like kind of ruin your reputation. Well, we want you to come back and redo it, but once again, you have no money.
All that context, I think, warrants a top spot. Because it's like so clever. It's so creative for like the lack of resources
but people like part guests don't see it that way. That's the problem. You can't just like walk in here.
Were like, hey, let's make this. I would argue that the Monsters Inc. looks like whatever.
Not everyone could get like led in with like someone in like in a plaid outfit being like, all right, just so you know, before you walk in here, we really went through a lot to make this happen. So I really hope you appreciate it. It was kind of like that thing. Do you remember the Bourne show when they walked out with the suit?
Yeah, there is we watched the Bourne
stunt spectacular.
No, I think it's called the Bourne Stuntacular.
Okay,
where is that?
Yeah. It's in Universal Studios Orlando.
Cool.
And in the middle of the show, a lot of that show uses projections, and it started to malfunction, and they just stopped the show. And a guy in a suit and a headset walked down. He was like, "Hey, everybody, just letting you know we're having some technical difficulties, but hopefully we'll get this back soon. And if not, hey, we're trying over here."
The problem is he came out in that suit and he prefaced it with like, "This is one of the most advanced stunt shows of all time.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, this is natural that this kind of thing happens." And like,
he was basically just saying, give us a break. It's a very advanced show. You're very lucky to be in here. It's not being advanced at the moment.
Was it good in the end?
I thought it was an okay show. I'd have to see it again in full, force, but whatever.
So on January 23rd, 2006, what we get is Monsters, Inc., Mike and Sulley to the Rescue, a ride that uses the same slow-moving ride system and layout as Superstar Limo, because of course they reskinned the whole thing. But unlike its highly disliked predecessor, Monsters, Inc. has been cruising riders through Monstropolis to this very day. And then a little extra nugget that we're not going to delve into too much. In 2009, Tokyo Disneyland opened a Monsters, Inc. ride as well. It's such a different ride that I don't really want to bring it up in this episode, but Monsters, Inc. Ride and Go Seek.
Yeah, it's
same IP, very different ride, but it does exist out there.
It's interesting. It's like Buzz Lightyear, except instead of guns, you have flashlights.
Cool.
And you shine them on the monsters.
Oh, fun! And you're just like,
which sounds kind of horrifying now that I think about it.
It's the hide and go seek one. What is it called?
Ride and Go Seek.
Ride and Go Seek.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I've been on it once.
Especially because there's a Japanese summoning ritual for demons called hide and seek. So I just think it's funny that they made a ride called that.
Cool.
Yeah.
That context is
no
cool
spoilers. Too. I think it's adorable and it's super fun.
Oh, cool.
It's definitely worth the go. And
ironically,
it's a rope drop ride. It was when I did my research when I went to Tokyo Disneyland. That was what people said go to first because it's like it often will be like a multi-hour line. Yeah.
I think that ramps it up for history, right?
That does it.
Well, let's get into some fun facts. But before we do that, let's have a word from our sponsors. And we are back. Thank you for supporting the show.
I love when that happens as a listener.
Yeah.
Because it's just and then it starts.
And then there's no
Oh, yeah.
sponsor. Every time you folks hear an
was
ad on the
awesome.
show, you should be very thankful because you're like, oh, they'll be able to make a couple more. All right, let's move on to some fun facts here. The ride length is 3 minutes and 30 seconds with an unknown speed and capacity. I could not find how fast this ride goes, nor could I find what the capacity is, but I would have to imagine it's not spectacular. I was surprised by this. This re-theme from Superstar Limo to Monsters, Inc. cost $30 million, apparently. That's a reported cost.
What?
That sounds banana. There's no fucking way that's true. Like, because, like, keep in mind, these are fun facts. These are things I found on the internet, so I don't know how actual factual
Right.
they are. But I will say, I did find that. Where did they spend that money?
Well, I mean,
the cool,
You know, Amanda's activated.
the cool, like, okay, the vehicles are different, or kind of.
You mean
like,
the paint? They
I would
painted them yellow.
They
That's
painted
Okay,
kinda cool.
it's dormant for like 4 years, you said, right? So clearly everything's a little rusty.
all that wear and
Paint
tear
job.
it had from
The
11
doors-
months of operation.
You think they spent a majority of the budget on
Animatronics,
anti-rust?
Perhaps safety, security measures.
That WD-40.
Yeah, WD-40.
Probably spent $1 million there, easy.
It's $1 million line item for WD-40 alone.
I
The
will say, though,
animatronics,
they
the raw stuff.
to help you out a little bit, they brought back all the original voice actors, I believe, from Monsters, Inc.
Oh, that probably
to
was a pretty
do-
penny.
So cast money.
Yeah,
Billy
especially
Crystal.
depending on
Right.
if they, I don't
John
know if they had them locked
Goodman.
in.
Yeah.
Those folks ain't doing it cheap.
Buscemi.
Nor should they. Buscemi! This is where the fuck are we here? I can't even remember. Oh yeah, $30 million. Anyways, moving on to the next fact. The snakes in Celia's hair often indicate her mood. You remember that from
Yes.
the film.
Right.
And when we see her and Mike in a car hitting the town at the beginning of the ride,
Happy birthday, Spoopsy Poo!
the indication is that she's super stoked. She looks, I don't know if that's really
yeah.
a fact. That's more to
She should
observation.
be.
She looks
Yeah.
pretty happy.
Yeah.
And the snakes are
Cool.
like, chirping away. I think even Mike says some sort of like kind of pet name for her, and he's like, "Yeah, booby" or something like that. Like not like talking to her booby.
Yeah,
but like,
right.
you know. Trivia time. How many doors are in the door vault at the end of the ride?
239.
I think I'm gonna go with less for some reason because of the mirrors tricks you. So maybe like, I don't know. It's a lot or not. 100.
I'm pretty shocked. It is 236.
Damn it.
Oh wow.
How the fuck did you get that close?
I remember it being in the 230s. I actually thought I was going to get it right.
Damn. Cool.
I knew it was in the 230s.
Man, her favorite ride over here. And she almost said
I
50. I
told
saw her
you.
mouth 50. She didn't produce sound.
I told
Mm-hmm.
you I don't know anything. I just love the ride.
Honestly, though, look,
But that's it. If this is Price is Right, I went over, so I lost.
that's true. But I will say, when I go into that door vault, I actually think 50 is closer.
Look, Boo, there's your door.
We're almost there, kiddo.
Like, I'm surprised.
Does
Like,
it feel small?
it feels smaller.
Yeah,
236. They must have like little tiny doors that are in the back with forced perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the room is not that big.
No.
Like the mirrors are doing a
Unless
lot
they're
of the heavy
counting the
lifting,
whole
right?
ride. Or are they only
No, it's
talking
only the
that,
last scene.
that-
Wow.
Okay.
I mean, you nailed it. The director of
Nice.
Monsters, Inc., Pete Docter, who also directed Up, one of my favorite Pixar films,
Mm-hmm.
he voices one of the CDA agents heard on the attraction. I did not know that. Good for him. You can see Mike's lone ginormous contact lens on the bench in the locker room. This thing is like a fucking fishbowl.
Oh, I want to see.
Every
I
time
didn't
I've been
pay
on this
attention.
ride, I thought that was like a big bubble or something.
Yeah.
But I only in the research for this did I realize, oh my God, that's his contact lens.
Cool.
Hilarious.
Oh my God, see, now I'm really excited to go.
Next fact. To save money, imagine, and this is amazing, to save money, Imagineers simply put CDA costumes over the animatronics used in Superstar Limo. Did you get to that in your history? You did, right?
I actually refrained because I knew it was going to come up in the trivia.
This is this is true. It's been confirmed. You could look at the CDA animatronics in Monsters, Inc. and look at the positioning of the animatronics, and it's
Jackie Chan.
It's
Yeah,
a no
I love
doubter.
the Jackie Chan
They
kick.
clearly just put costumes over the animatronics of the dearly departed celebrities from Superstar Limo. This includes the kicking Jackie Chan, one of my personal favorites, because they have a CDA guy like slipping on top of a van.
Oh, weird. I thought he was doing some
Impressive.
like active, like some jump. Like
no, I think it's kind of like he's pulling like a rope on top of a van.
Okay.
I just think it's funny that they at one point had to have some sort of brainstorm.
Let's figure this out.
Where they looked at all the positions of the animatronics from Superstar Limo and be like, okay, how could we make this a CDA guy and make it make sense?
Yeah.
And the Jackie Chan one must have been tough.
Hey, I'm all about recycling or repurposing. They did that for Splash Mountain back in the
Disney does this all
like
the time.
They had all those America Sings
Yeah.
animatronics.
They've also done it on the
that.
Haunted Mansion. Drew Carey is also in here, and he's the guy who has like the money in his hand, and in this ride, he's actually, I think he's handing out pictures of Boo.
Yes.
Like, we've seen the child. We have pictures of her.
I have the girl's picture.
Wait, he has money in his hand, or is it?
It's like pamphlets or something.
Oh,
like that.
that's right. Okay, because Regis has the money, right?
Yes. Cindy Crawford, who previously spritzed perfume on guests, now uses that misting function to decontaminate guests as a CDA agent. Melanie Griffith and Antonio Banderas, they spray you with a little CO2 just before the final scene.
Oh, cool.
And of course, the eternal Whoopi Goldberg is in this as well, with the latter four being the hardest to spot, just because you could only realize it's the Tim Allen animatronic when you look at the shoulders. But, all the other ones are pretty obvious, like Jackie Chan, Drew Carey, Cindy
Should have
Crawford.
kept Whoopi.
Just keep her in
Whoopi.
Monsters.
She's clean.
Have her in the sushi restaurant.
Reskin all the animatronics with just Whoopi.
Yeah.
But by far, I think the funniest retrofit is Regis Philbin being transformed into the first Randall Boggs animatronic you see peeking around a corner at the beginning of the ride. At the very beginning of the ride, there's a moment where Randall, he like peeks his head around like a corner like this. That used to be Regis Philbin kind of poking his head around. I think he was looking for someone who wants to be a millionaire. I can't remember what he was actually saying, but very funny. And also, it's not just a CDA costume. They just took, I guess, the bones of the animatronic and then changed Regis's face into a snake man. This ride can only be found in California Adventure. Byron did mention that there is a different version. I don't even want to say different version of this ride. There's just a different Monsters Inc. ride in general in Tokyo.
It's like the Winnie the Pooh ride at our
Exactly.
U.S. parks. It's like it's not the same ride as
It is
Pooh's
not the
Honey
same.
Hunt. in
And I would
Tokyo.
argue the better ride of the bi-coastal Monsters Inc. rides. Like the ones in Magic Kingdom. It's like the
Oh,
laugh
that's
track.
right. They did,
There's a
they did
laugh
a laugh
factory.
floor.
I think Turtle Talk is better.
Turtle Talk's better.
Yeah. Okay, great.
The Roz animatronic has real feedback and is interactive, and apparently is controlled by a cast member in another room with a touch screen with pre-programmed responses and hidden cameras.
It's Roz! You look great, Roz!
I'm ready for my close-up.
So basically, there's like things that you could, like when they're looking at the cameras at the guests, there are certain identifying marks that you could type into the touchpad and it'll make Ross say certain things like, if you see someone with funny hair, you press the hair button. If you see somebody with a churro.
See, that's one of the few instances where I'm like, okay, the 30 million's at work there. A piece of it's there because that actually
Right,
does
that was
look.
very
That actually does
forward-thinking.
look like a good animatronic.
If that animatronic cost $29 million,
No way, but-
$999,000.
No, but I think at the time,
$999.99 and 1 cent was spent on the cardboard cutout of the facade, then I'd believe.
It's got to be like a Mary Blair inspired facade out front, right?
It kind of is. I see what they're going
What's
for.
that?
Mary, like she did the artwork for Small World, that facade.
oh, cool. Yeah.
So they, I guess, I've heard.
I could
that
see.
it's-
I could see the Mary
That's
Blair
super-
inspiration,
right.
but I could also see they were like, we need to put some flats up here and paint these bad boys.
Yeah, I
cover.
could also see that it was done for $1,000.
Yeah.
But Roz at the time, I swear, that was like what I did remember being like. That was amazing.
You were pumped up for
Oh
Roz.
yeah,
Well,
I was
she
like,
talked
that was
shit, right?
fucking cool.
Did you jump out of your limo and?
They're like, oh, the person with the glasses. I'm like, how the fuck do they know that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's the anti-ET. Like instead of like saying goodbye and being all friendly, she just
Yeah.
like talks shit to you.
Yeah,
Which is
and I love
incredible.
it.
Next fact here. Apparently, you could smell ginger in the sushi restaurant. I've never smelled it. And you could also smell lemon when
What?
the snow cones are offered to you through the door.
What?
Do you smell the ginger?
I smell absolutely. That was like so cool at the time. Or at least like Scream. I know that Soren had like kind of the scent.
Yeah,
thing.
they have the
And then
orange.
the Monsters Inc. was like the one that also was really memorable to me. Those are the two rides I can think of that did the scent thing.
Maybe I'll really just inhale deeply through my nostrils.
Wait, you
next
don't
time.
even smell anything?
I've
That was
never
the cool
smelled.
part.
I've never smelled the ginger. I'm
Wow.
always too just kind of like amazed by the octopus chef man,
Wow.
who always is. He's a crack up. He can make 8 sushi rolls at the same time.
Wait, did you?
I
Did
didn't.
you-
I did not know it was the
No
smell
way.
of ginger. Yeah, most of the times I went on this ride, I was pretty young. I was like before I started like going to like sushi restaurants and stuff like that.
Appreciating.
So I don't usually like, oh, that smells like even today. Like I know what the smell of ginger is now because I eat sushi frequently. But
I thought it was like wasabi ginger at the time, and then that was always
the fuck up. You did not take that.
No. I remember but I do remember always taking people on this and being like being annoying and being like, do you guys smell that?
like,
and then they either do or don't, but maybe it's like
you didn't give more context. You didn't say do you smell
the sushi restaurant?
Because if you just turned to me in the middle of a ride and went, do you smell that? I would have been like, did you just fart or something? Like, what kind of animal?
Damn.
Gonna ask me to pull your finger?
Yes.
There are 2 hidden Mickeys on this ride.
ooh.
On the fur, right? Am I
Yeah,
wrong?
that's
Am I
right.
wrong?
Yeah, there's one on the side
yeah.
of Sulley as he hangs from the door at the end of the ride. There's a Mickey in his fur.
Cool.
Do you know the other one?
I think I do, but go for it.
Fuck, this is a guess. I never seen it. The chameleon guy, Randall.
Yeah,
Randall.
Yeah,
Is it on Randall?
it's on Randall, but do you know where it is?
Fuck yeah.
Like in the ride, where it is?
Bathroom.
No, it's actually when Boo is whacking him on the head. And when his colors are changing, one of them has a hidden Mickey on it.
I think I got one more for you.
But also, there's an even cooler hidden thing in that scene when Randall's getting bonked on the head when his colors are changing. One of the colors
Haunted Mansion wallpaper
is the Haunted Mansion
Oh,
wallpaper.
cool.
Which is really cool.
Do you know? I think there's a third hidden Mickey, by the way.
What?
And it's actually not just like the general
So it's made
ears
up.
and face.
So
It's
you're
like
making
it looks like a full figure. No, like you can actually
That's right.
when you see the silhouettes of the people like running outside of what is the name of that restaurant? The
Harryhausen's restaurant?
Harryhausen's. Yeah, when they're all like fleeing and you see all the shadow figures running outside. One of them running by outside is a full on like Mickey figure.
Oh,
What?
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's
fun.
cool. I didn't notice that. That does it for fun facts. Let's move on to current reputation. But before we do that, let's thank some of our sponsors. All right, and we are back. Hope we have sponsors. Otherwise, I just thanked the abyss. All right, let's move on to current reputation. Let's discuss how popular the attraction is today. What are the average wait times? Where does it fit in the current landscape? And how do people generally feel about this ride? Heavy emphasis on people in general. Let's go to Byron here.
I'll start with current reputation today because I believe that it's honestly gotten better over the years than when it first came out. Because for context, I remember when I first went on this ride, and it was the month that it first opened. It was in January of 2006. There was a lot of marketing behind this.
Well, also, when did they announce they were doing this? Wasn't it 2005 or something?
It had to be 2005 because that's, that they basically used 2005 to reskin and get it ready. And then January of 2006 is when it came out. So there's already a marketing push leading into 2006.
And that's an incredibly fast timeline.
And,
to redo a ride.
I think I recall it being like on the park maps, on billboards, what have you. And so a lot of people felt very let down when they realized what it was. And this will lead me to the wait times, but there was, an hour plus wait when this first came out. So people had a lot of hype and kind of left disappointed. But over the years, the reputation, I feel like, has actually greatly increased because everyone knows what it is. And now people appreciate that it, adds value to your day when it isn't, an hour plus wait.
I will say, too, in terms of holes it plugs, there is very little
kid rides
that are truly themed dark rides at California Adventure. So this is one of the few that you could get on with your kids.
It's a banger for the family.
You just got this and Little Mermaid for dark rides there, right?
Oh, yeah, the Little Mermaid. That's what
I guess Midway Mania.
Goofy Sky School.
That's not a dark ride. That's not a dark ride. That's an outdoor.
Goofy Sky School.
We gotta talk about Mulholland Madness.
Depending on whether or not we're sending sponsor throws into the abyss or not, we might just run out of rides, and then we'll
cover
Goofy Sky School on the docket after the Alpine coaster at Big Bear,
or Silly Symphony Swings or something like that. I have to say too that how people felt about this ride is probably how people felt when Jurassic Park the ride got rethemed into Jurassic World, or even Splash Mountain turning into Tiana's.
Yeah.
Because I like the actual theme of Tiana's, but I am not expecting a lot of work to be done in terms of new animatronics, new show scenes. I really think given the timeline, because it's about a year.
Yeah.
Well,
So this is about similar of how long the timeline was from Superstar Limo to Monsters Inc. I am skeptical that they are going to be doing crazy stuff in there.
I disagree.
You think so?
I disagree because so much of that work is done in Burbank. Think about it. Like even like a year before or months leading up to the closure of Splash Mountain, Imagineers were found
They're already
on the
doing it.
logs already
I see.
syncing the audio.
That's
and that
true.
means they're up in the warehouses constructing all the animatronics.
Before
Think
even-
about how
yeah.
think about how fast they redress for Haunted Mansion Holiday.
That's
and so
true.
in a matter of a
And
couple
that is
weeks, where
substantial.
most of the work is going to happen before.
Granted, they also have more budget for Tiana's.
Yeah,
Well, then again, apparently they had a $30 million budget to do this, but
I expect
what-
green water.
Here's what Tiana.
Glowing
what-
water.
I want glowing water too.
Wouldn't that be sick,
I want it
though?
to look like fucking.
Oh man, that would be really cool.
Like, do they even do lights and then somehow make that effect?
Yeah,
That'd
they
be
gotta
so
like,
sick.
especially with like all like the voodoo stuff
Yes.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like
I want it to
toward
look
the
like
end.
Pandora.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get into the wait times because, and Amanda, this is where we guess or what is the average wait time, but what is the highest recorded wait time for this ride? If you had to take a guess.
Well, you just said at least an hour. You said
Oh, I mean, but that's
So-
given. That's a given.
so. Oh my god, I would be surprised if
Remember,
it was 2 hours.
there's not a lot of rides in this park.
Yeah.
This is a re-theme of a ride that no one rode for the most part, but also was sitting vacant for 4 years.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do with that.
Right. 2 hours. 2 hours.
I'm going to go 3 hours.
3 hours?
I'm going to go 3
Holy
hours.
shit.
Amanda is closer. The highest recorded wait time for Monsters Inc. Mike and Sulley to the Rescue is 120 minutes.
Oh, wow.
As a matter of fact, there was an 150-minute reported wait time, but it was only one ping, and it was just one quick ping in the middle of a day that otherwise had the ride at under an hour wait time, so I threw it out. The 120-minute wait time is way more consistent, and these were on the dates of February 16th and February 24th of 2020 and 2022.
2020.
What?
The
2020?
caveat for me,
Why?
yeah, and it's weird that it's these two specific dates in February on these two specific years. I mean, I guess Disneyland Resort wasn't open at that time in 2021 yet, but it was open in 2020 'cause that was February. March is
Yes,
when it
that
shut
makes
down.
sense, yeah.
That being said, you got to keep in mind that 2006, obviously the internet was up and running and people were reporting things, but I don't think people were as adamant about putting wait times online. And I think, to your credit, and this is like how I feel anecdotally, it was around a 2-hour wait often when it first opened. I just don't know if it ever reached 3 hours, but I could see a world where it did.
On the first day, I bet you
Yeah.
it up there. What's the average wait time, though?
So the average wait time, and this is obviously a bit more accurate.
20 minutes.
All right, so we got 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say 20 minutes. You know what? 19.
Annoying.
Amanda gets it again. 26
shit.
minutes is the average wait time all time.
Say 30.
Good for them.
Good for them. Honestly, I have
Good for the
noticed, and I don't know if this is indicative of the park attendance as a whole growing over the years, because I used to always see this as like a 15-minute or virtually a walk-on. But when I track the app nowadays, you'll often see it at a 30+ minute wait.
Yeah, I have seen it recently at 40 on a weekend, which is bonkers, even because I love the ride, but
40 minutes is a lot.
40 minutes.
Anyways, let's move on to first impressions. This is just us recounting our first time on the ride, if you can recall that. But 2006, we all should have a pretty decent memory of what we first thought when we got on this ride.
As someone who's like us, where we like appreciate everything, I really did think it was like, for a dark ride, I thought it was really clever. And I would say because we kind of knew that it was, or at least I did, I was like aware that it was Superstar Limo. I was like aware of like what it was and what they did. And I remember the door room was really impressive to me.
Yes.
Because I
yes.
love people being creative with like a set.
Yeah.
And then I thought them putting a mirror in there was like amazing to me. I was like, that's so fucking clever.
Yeah.
Versus like doing a paint wall with a bunch of maybe like a illusion.
Mirror, and when you say mirror, it's a mirror to make the room look bigger than it actually
Yeah,
is.
and it looks like a bunch of doors, which is why I said like 50 doors, because I was like, oh, maybe that's like a mind trick or something.
yeah.
And then the Randall illusion was kind of at the time like
projection.
Really,
It's a projection
really
technology.
cool.
Yeah.
Is it
and the
projection?
scent thing.
It is.
Because I've heard rumors that like there's one Randall that is like they kind of use the Pepper's Ghost.
They use Randall's
method.
Pepper Ghost in the bathroom.
The bathroom.
Okay.
Race you to the scare floor.
And then the scent thing, which I thought was fucking.
You just love ginger.
No, I swear I was like, this is cool. Like, what do you call that? Like 4D? I don't think that is. I thought it was cool to like kind of be immersed in the film, but we were very aware that was this. I feel like it was obvious that it was Superstar Limbo.
Yeah, and that was actually my first impression because I obviously am a huge nerd and I was on the boards and tracking the progress of all this. And I knew it was a reskin of Superstar Limo. So going on to the ride, I was very much searching for remnants and hints of what used to be. And so I was just very tickled by seeing the CDA guys. Also, similar, I was very blown away by the door scene. I thought it like had a scale that I did not expect in that ride. In fact, when I took my wife on this for the first time, and this was a matter of a couple weeks ago, she did not get on Superstar Limo. So she just kind of saw it as if they just constructed this from the ground up. So she was impressed by it.
Fuck yeah, Mari.
So yeah, that would be. And what about you, Byron?
So as I recall, I went on the first time January of 2006. I believe it was actually the week that it opened. My family just so happened to be at California Adventure that week. And I remember waiting over an hour. And like I said, like at the time, there's like a lot of marketing and stuff. So there was some hype. I didn't know. I knew it was in the location of Superstar Limo. I never went on Superstar Limo. So like when I went on the ride, I wasn't thinking anything of it. I do remember my mom being, yeah, that's basically the Superstar Limo ride. And now I kind of understand why she said that.
Yeah.
I remember leaving this ride extremely underwhelmed. Keep in mind, I waited over an hour for it. I expected a little more action. It's like there's a lot of chaos going on, but I just felt like you were moving so slow. Even for like Pretzel Dark Ride standards, the pacing of the vehicle and moving and transitioning to other scenes just felt so egregiously slow. I was anticipating a door scene before getting on the ride. So I was happy that I got that. I'm happy that they did make the room feel much bigger than it was.
Yes.
But once again, you can only do so much with the mirrors. So like I appreciate it more today, but in that moment, it's like, wish they had more space to have a proper door scene. And I remember getting off this ride and I think I was it was like 15 or 16 years old at this time.
Yeah.
And like my brain started racing after getting off this ride. Cause I'm like, I think everyone has thought this. Any big theme park fan or at least Disney park fan has probably had this cross their mind or has someone they know bring this up to them. Like, how cool would it be if there was a Monsters Inc. door roller coaster?
Oh, like
a suspended roller coaster.
And
riding it.
Ever since that thought, I cannot look at this ride and not think, I wish they had the space. And this is
hanging ride.
This might lead me into a mini tangent because there are so many international parks now with the space for it. This feels like such an uncontested layup.
Yeah.
To do a Monsters Inc. roller coaster in Disney, you could have this on the house.
Well, they already did think about this. That's why it was on mine, because there was an early concept of like possibly having a door coaster. Like,
why didn't it happen?
Because they didn't have the budget for it.
But what I'm saying is like, but here's the deal. Like nowadays, they do have the budget for it in so many of these international parks.
Which, okay, let me ask you this.
And they do have the space for it now.
What's the concept?
Would you prefer Monsters Inc. door coaster in the spot it's at, or would you prefer that to be the rumored Pandora? And
Pandora.
I want that juicy exclusive. I want a Monsters Inc. door coaster.
Door coaster. I think I'd go door coaster.
I would do Pandora because I've never been to the other one.
Unless the Avatar experience, we don't know what it is, but unless the experience is something completely different from what what you get in Florida, I would want the door coaster. I think it would be super neat to have like the loading station be the scare floor.
I think so too. Yeah.
And then just on a technological basis, every door is essentially, one row of the roller coaster. And the manufacturer that does most of Disney's roller coasters now, they're called Vekoma. Recently, they just did a coaster. We'll bring it up later, where they are able to get the ride vehicles to pivot in the direction of where the story is taking place. If you combine that with their new model of suspended family coasters, which I actually rode in Coney Island this past summer, glossy smooth. If you combine these two together, I think you have an incredible suspended Omni coaster. which would be the first of its kind. That's a great marketing for coaster enthusiasts and for Disney park fans alike.
Oh, I see. You're
and
saying
now you could now you could combine the dark ride elements of setting up the story with Boo on the Loose, and then it basically transcends into the finale chase with Randall into this massive, gravity show building where you are racing around.
That's a pretty good concept. Cool. And also it would be the first suspended Disney roller coaster ride.
Yeah, the first suspended Disney coaster ride.
Yeah, I mean, I have no. You're not going to get any arguments from me there. We should
that
have
sounds
an
awesome.
Armchair engineering section of the show. Let's move on to the good and the bad, though. But before we do that, let's thank our sponsors. All right, and we are back. All right, let's go on to the good and the bad. What are the good and bad things about this ride? And you could expand on any of these, or you could argue with me for the bads if you'd like. Let's start with the good. I like the fun little Monstropolis commercials in the beginning.
Yeah.
This is in the queue. This used to be occupied by Joan Rivers in the Superstar limo, talking to you with a very scary puppet. But now it's basically just commercials from the Monsters, Inc. world, which I think are very funny. There's a commercial for a restaurant for Harryhausen's sushi restaurant, which you see in the ride.
Harryhausen's is the monster's choice for fine dining.
And speaking of Harryhausen's sushi restaurant, there is a sushi menu in this ride that I looked at. It's a bit odd.
Well, it's for monsters.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's just, I think they're playing off of right?
No, you would think the items on this sushi menu would be like, ooze ball or something like that, or a slime, a slimy rice or something like that.
I remember an assorted something they were playing off of
Amanda, they're serving hamachi here.
Yeah.
They're serving normal sushi
on
this menu, and the chef is an octopus serving squid.
Dark.
It's fucking weird. This is a guy who's basically chopping himself up and serving it. I just thought that was super strange that they didn't. And that's why it's in my good, because I love it, because it's just weird and twisted that they didn't just make it goofy Monsters Inc. names, but they were just let's just make it a sushi restaurant, and the guy who's making it happens to be an octopus serving taco.
Good joke.
And piggybacking off our talk with Jenny on the Rainforest Cafe, being an ET cafe, it looks like this podcast is starting to promote cannibalism amongst fictional characters.
Everyone knows that about me. They got fun posters in here. This is pre-Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, where they have these fun punny posters. Mm-hmm. They do this in the Muppet Show too. I always like it when they do that.
This is like a transit center, right? That's the
it's like a transit center
in there. So you're basically seeing ads as if
exactly as if you were in the subway or something like that. Also, they're playing. If I Didn't Have You in the Queue. It's a fun song. It's great orchestration. They don't have the vocal version, but just even
makes you happy.
It's a great track. The newscast screens in the vehicles. I like those too. Mm-hmm. They often aren't working. They weren't working for my most recent ride, but when they are working, it's a nice touch that you see a news broadcast that sets up the story that there's a child on the loose.
We interrupt this program for a special report. A child is on the loose in Monstropolis. A human child!
And there's also really funny quotes from all of the, and this is just kind of playing on the culture of humans in general. When there's some sort of disaster or something that happens, they'll often go interview people and be like, "What'd you see?" And they'll be like, "I saw a spaceship and it picked me up on my chest." And in this particular case, they're interviewing people about seeing this child. And here's some of the quotes that some of the monsters say in regards to witnessing Boo. "He lifted me up with his mind powers and shoot me like a dog."
And then this is the eyeball guy. Yeah.
So this guy is insinuating that a small baby lifted him up with telekinesis and then pulled out a Glock and shot him.
Is that in the film as well, or is it just the ride?
I think there's some of it.
There's some of it in the film, but I just why would
Love that.
What's the point of the gun if you could? You could lift him up with your mind.
Oh, weird. I thought it was shook me like a dog.
Shook me like a dog.
Oh, I heard shoot.
No, shook me like a dog.
That makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
I tried to run from it, but it picked me up with its mind powers and shook me like a dog.
It's true. I saw the whole thing.
It's
Oh, okay. Thank God. I mean, I prefer it with Boo packing heat. I think that's really good.
Oh man, but you were cool with that. You were like, shoot me you were cool with that.
I wish a monster would be like, shoot me like a dog. And then there's another one that says, "She grabbed me with its giant forked tongue and rolled me up and rolled me like a cigarette." It's really good stuff. I would have loved to have been in the writer's room
So good.
the writer's room just to kind of come up with funny things for these monsters to say that they saw when it came to this little girl. And speaking of the little girl, Boo, she's adorable. Just like she is in the film, the animatronic of Boo, they deliver.
Oh, Boo, we gotta get you home.
Very cute. Love the sushi restaurant scene. Incredible. Harryhausen sushi restaurant. I think something has happened. There's like all the tables are overturned.
Reminds me of my date nights for sure.
Interesting.
But you also see the octopus sushi man there, and he's still cutting away despite like everyone getting scared and running away from this kid, or he's just trapped behind that counter, but he's still going for it. Decent Mike and Sulley animatronics, honestly. I know these aren't like, A1000 animatronics like you see like at Galaxy's Edge or something like that, but I will say for the time, pretty decent. They look like the characters. It's fun. This could be a bad, but I do love the CDA people.
I do too.
We are at the scene, number one. Spread out and lock it down.
And I love the fact that they're reskins of Superstar Limo. And I love the fact of that just because that is only funny to park heads. Because anybody else, even if I were to explain this to just a normal person and be like, this used to be a ride called Superstar Limo and these are just reused animatronics, isn't that cool? And I don't think they'd even respond. I think they would just keep looking forward.
People are so boring.
No, I think this is a really cool way to look at history while seeing something new. And I love it. I think it's great. Helmet-sized contact lens. I just was so tickled by that. It really is funny that they just have a contact lens.
I can't wait to see
and
that.
And it looks like a fucking bike helmet. It's incredible. Pepper's Ghost Randall. Like seeing that technology implemented here. It's on a bunch of Disney rides, most notably the Haunted Mansion, but love to see it here. Decent lighting and scale in some of these scenes. The sushi restaurant, pretty big. Like, I think they did a good job of making a small space look large. I don't know how they did it. The door scene, obviously, we talked about they used the mirrors, but the sushi restaurant, pretty like well done, honestly.
And you're in there long enough. Not too long, not too short.
Because I actually had this as a good as well, the sushi restaurant, where it's a scene that you wouldn't traditionally expect them to put in. Like if you have like a small number of scenes that you could like cram into giving you a Monsters Inc. experience.
Yeah.
You think it would go the way of like a Peter Pan's Flight or like a Snow White or something like that.
Yeah, where they're just showing highlights.
And the atmosphere that they put into it.
You're just in it.
I wouldn't have predicted them to put it in, but it's all the better for it.
Piggybacking off of that, I do think there's really good storytelling here. Like it's a very clear A to B story. They, unlike most dark rides you'd see in Fantasyland, they're actually telling the story of a kid running loose through the city in a very clever, short way. Abominable Snowman.
Oh, love.
Snow cone? Oh, no.
Great. Love seeing that guy.
When he opens with the pee.
Is it actually?
I thought so. I don't know.
I always, as a kid, thought, is he just pissing on these snow cones?
I thought it was a pee cone.
But I was always very amused by him in the movies as a kid because the snow cones are so tiny in his large hands. And so when he comes out of that door, or it's like a video.
That was also during a phase in my life where I was really into snow cones. Now it's like, it's ice. It's shaved ice with syrup poured onto them. But like I used to I remember like as a kid, like that was during the time the film was coming out. I'd be going up to the mountains and I would actually go out in the snow and I would come back in with the snow.
There's no
so
fact
cute.
you've said about yourself that I instantly believed right on the spot more than you saying I had a snow cone phase. I don't know what it is about you, but I'm like, this guy had a snow cone phase. I could totally.
Well, that's true.
I dug snow cones, man. The color changing Randall with the projections. We talked about it a little bit. Really cool to see that technology at that early in the game. And then Roz. Everyone loves Roz. She's great in the film. She's great in this ride. It's a really cool effect.
Hello, humans. Man, in the first row. Is that your husband? He was winking at me.
For a long time, I actually thought it was like Turtle Talk with Crush, where there was a cast member back there actually saying things, because enough things had happened in the ride where someone was sitting to me, for example, with like a jersey on, like,
very specific.
Yeah, very specific. And it just shows you how many combinations they must have on that soundboard back there. And then the last thing I wrote here for good is the ending score. At the end of the ride, when they're saying goodbye to Boo, they have that just tormenting, just a really heartbreaking score that they have from the film. And that actually always kind of gets me a little bit.
Kitty's gotta go.
The presence of a human child here tonight. We responded responded to a 2319 in progress and reported to the scene where we...
But I will say, moving now into the bad, unless you guys have goods. Well, let's move into that bad then. I will say, I think it's a crime that they did not recreate the goodbye scene in the ride that they have in the film.
I think that was what they were kind of doing.
They were trying to do it. They put it in the door vault scene when they're hanging on the door, and it's like, all right, it's time to go, boo. And it just kind of feels like they're shoving you out the door.
Yeah.
Like, let that moment.
See, but that's like Snow White. That's what they do, though. Like Snow White, they just were like, the story's over.
But
and
up
then
to
they
that
were
point,
like,
they had done such a good job of telling the story, and then it's kind of like they ran out of time.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right.
Definitely running out of time.
Because like I wanted to see him saying goodbye to her in her bedroom. That scene is heartbreaking in the movie when she doesn't understand that this is goodbye, but he does.
Ryan wants to cry at an end of a dark
You
ride.
did everything. You did all the legwork. You did everything you could to make that moment loaded, and then you were just like, JK.
Mm-hmm.
There's the door.
I would say that's the critique across all the Disney dark rides.
Yes, I would say, but I thought to this point it was they actually told the story and then they just ran out of time.
Yeah.
Why? So we could have the CDA.
Roz,
so we could have
Roz.
So we could have the CDA spray you. At the end, and then have that guy with the camera shoot you out of the bus. Like it's like
you don't need that much square footage to pull off this.
You don't need that much square footage to pull off that.
You're
bedroom
right.
Scene.
The part before Roz, like when it's like them.
Yeah.
Just waiting, like the waiting to get off the vehicle. They could have made that.
Make that the bedroom scene.
Yes.
Or, him getting the door reconstructed. Another amazing moment in the movie when he has the little door shard on the clipboard.
I'm sure they thought about it, but you also have to keep in mind that if no one's seen the film before, that emotional arc is not as well paid off if you have not experienced their relationship like you do in the film.
What is the percentage of people getting on this ride that haven't seen
in
the
this
film,
ride,
though?
it's simply just a pursuit.
I just don't.
They don't establish like that special relationship.
Normies are not allowed on this ride.
Well, I'm actually
the
curious. If you had to take a guess, how many people are getting on this ride that have not seen the film?
Yeah, right.
I can't imagine it's a high percentage.
I'll say it's 50%.
No way.
No,
dude.
Monsters Inc. was an enormous box office hit.
If
it didn't gross $1 billion.
Non-Disney people have seen at least Monsters Inc. I think
so too. I would argue that.
And that's
anybody who had a kid during that time, and even like now, people are showing like.
Well, we were 10. What else did we watch? Monsters Inc. that year.
How many kids do you think are out there right now that haven't seen Monsters Inc? It's an old film now.
Oh, you're talking about like kids now.
I think.
Well, think about everyone collectively as guests. And once again, now you have to keep in mind this is a slow-moving dark ride where you have a lot of kids who may have seen some Pixar films, but these are considered the old ones. Are you actually going to just assume they're going to understand this emotional arc that you're trying to drop at the end of?
It's a simple arc.
I think also I would agree with the argument you're making if this ride was constructed in 2021 or 2022.
It's true.
This ride was constructed in 2005. This is like what a few years removed from the film being a massive hit.
And if they didn't watch the movie, they know.
I get that. That's actually a good argument.
They know.
But for today, I don't know if it would have aged well.
The re-theme is lazy.
Would have for me.
We're just moving on here. I think the re-theme is lazy. we've gone into it. It's just I wish they had done more, but I get it. There's that phone in the queue that they just basically put a new video on. They just painted the vehicles a taxi color, and then that facade out front is an abomination.
The facade out front is pretty.
It is not.
I'm not against the artwork too much. I'm more just in terms of the structure and cutout itself. It looks cheap because it's generally a cutout. I think like the paint and stuff like that is actually nice, and they did a great job. I do love that you do enter through like a cutout of Boo's door.
Next to like the new rethemed California Adventure in terms of like how they beautifully rendered Buena Vista Street and like all that stuff, to have this facade look the way it does is super odd to me.
What do you want?
I want it to look like a building at least. Even at Universal Studios, when you go on that shitty Despicable Me ride, they built the Despicable Me buildings. I'm with Stassi when I was writing these bads. I just wrote, how did this cost $30 million? I don't understand how it did. I'm trying
you said.
Maybe the talent fees. Getting Billy in there.
I mean, how much do you think those animatronics cost? The new ones, not the reskin, obviously, but like for example, like Roz or like Mike and Sulley. Like
I think Roz probably cost a pretty penny.
Yeah.
And then the last bad I wrote here was, and we already discussed this though. It makes me wish they did the door coaster that they were rumored to have been thinking about back in the day. That's it for my bads. Any you guys got any more bads here before we move on?
I'll add a few unless you got some.
I would say like this is stupid shit. It doesn't matter. But like I like the immersive Toontown experience, and I feel like in the queue they could have done that a little more. Like they had a vending machine there, useless. It's not even like pretty or like photo or like photogenic or anything. It's just kind of
the only thing they really put a little effort into, it seems, is the posters that have the funny puns on them.
Totally.
I think the queue overall pretty lame. Like a bunch of switchbacks outdoors. Like so if you actually are waiting in a 30-minute wait plus, it's just about outdoor switchbacks, and obviously it's just painted over stuff with some videos. Long hallway to start the ride. It's a lot of square footage for nothing happening. It's just like, it's just dark. And I know why they kind of had to do this.
You're right.
And this is the thing is, and like this piggybacks off like where did that money go? It's like none of it went towards the ride vehicles. Basically, they wanted to save money on not reconstructing the ride vehicles, so they were just left with these little TV screens, and they had to do something with it, which is my next bad, is you have the ride open up with these little newsreels, which is kind of cool. Like, it gets you amped for the ride, it's setting up the pursuit, but there's nothing going on in front of you.
Yeah, it's just a long hallway.
Yeah,
it's like a tunnel, right? It's like a tunnel going into the city.
Yeah, it's just too much square footage that's going on with nothing. That's just relying on these little screens that you think are going to be a part of the ride going forward, and then they're like never used after that. So it was clearly like an obligation where it's like, well, we got to do something with these little screens, or else we have to retrofit these ride vehicles.
Yeah.
So it feels really confused there. In addition to that, what's this ride doing in like a Hollywood land? Or it's a single ride that just feels like it's in like a what the fuck kind of space.
Yeah, it's next to the Avengers, and it's weird.
At this point, like what, you got Buena Vista Street,
That's not their fault.
You got what is now
why are we getting mad at them for that?
You got Avengers, and there's like a lot of space around it where it's like, if you're going to have the Monsters Inc. ride there, and once again, this might be a testament to how they know that this isn't an e-ticket ride.
Yeah, they didn't.
That they're not willing to build an entire like land, or at least like pavilion, or like some sort of area around it to make it feel like a proper Monstropolis, which I think would be a very fun
that would
Disney
actually be a
themed,
cool
like immersive land. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that's true. It would be a cool land.
That could come off as very inspired and have a lot of interactive elements. At this point, there's really nothing going on in that Hollywood land section anyways. Bulldoze it down. You got the Avengers campus next door. It's already becoming an IP dumping ground. Maybe that's where Avatar's going.
I think that's where Avatar's going to go.
I think it would be cool if there was a proper Monstropolis.
It's never going to happen.
God, just bring it's going to happen at an international park one day.
Well, they did do briefly a little like Monsters University facade out front of the ride. If you recall, it was actually a building.
Oh, really? It was the Spider-Man.
It's now
right?
now it's Spider-Man.
Oh.
Yeah, that used to be Monsters University back in the day. I do remember that, and just thinking,
wow,
like, cool.
Whoa. Yeah, cool.
I'm keeping the hope alive. We will get a Monstropolis. We will get a door coaster. It just will not be at this park.
It's not going to happen. But let's move on to the world-class tests. But before we do that, let's once again thank our sponsors. And we are back. It's time for the world-class tests, the crown jewel of this podcast. This is a rubric of 10 tests painstakingly devised by Byron and myself to determine if an attraction is world-class. To receive the highly coveted world-class pass, the attraction must pass 7 out of 10 tests. A score of 6 out of 10 tests leaves the attraction up for debate. We could debate it into world-class pass standing, and anything lower than 6 out of 10 is an automatic fail. The first test, the average tourist test. Would the average tourist have a hard time getting on this ride? Is there a long wait? Is there a complicated queue system?
No, no.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think it'd be pretty easy.
I think it's easier for an average tourist to get on this ride than someone who's very familiar with this ride. Because if you're an average tourist, you're kind of exploring the whole park. I often overlook it.
Because it's kind of tucked away. Yeah,
because I forget. Like I just like spearhead.
I know the
spots I want to hit.
Yeah,
you're going to Guardians.
Like this nice little corner of the park in Hollywood Land that I rarely go to, and I don't think that's indicative of Monsters Inc. Or that's not reflective of Monsters Inc. That's more just it's a dull as fuck.
Like who's rope dropping
area of the
monsters
park at this point? Yeah,
you apparently just so you could smell that ginger 18 times.
Hell yeah.
Just as good as the last time.
Easy pass all around.
I think it's an easy pass.
Yeah.
Moving on to test number 2, 1 for 1. The Leslie Stahl test. Would you be willing to wait 60 minutes for this attraction if you've already been on it at least once? Now for listeners of this podcast, I added this last part just because there was so much of like, well, you know, if I don't know why people, this is what you, I guess
Well,
this is
when
what listeners sound like. I said, well, you know, if I invite my friends, if my friends from New York come down and they get on this ride, I'm going to have to show them. They'll wait 60.
This is an AI generated like voice.
Yeah, exactly.
That came together with like 3,000 different samples that was programmed into Ryan's microphone. So that's what you're getting.
So I added this last part just to make it so if you've already been on this ride at least once, would you wait 60 minutes for the next time you're on this ride? Or would you wait 60 minutes in general, having already been on it once? And I think that makes it much more personal to you. And now we're going to ask Amanda, whose ride is this? Is the number one ride in Disneyland Resort, according to,
like, am I writing it for me or for the people I'm with?
For you. Would you wait 60 minutes having already been on it?
If fuck no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I know. There it is.
I know I wouldn't.
There's no way.
Yeah,
there's no way.
I wouldn't.
Especially because that outdoor switchback portion is brutal.
Yeah.
It's
and
like
that's never been filled, honestly. So, yeah. I mean, if I do see it, maybe even 2 rows filled, I'm like, I'm not waiting in there.
No, I've seen this ride at 45 minutes, and I'm always thinking, you must have kids if you're on the.
You guys are
line.
bonkers.
If you're not, if you don't have kids and you're waiting in that line and it's 45 minutes, I don't know what you're doing.
Agree.
Like I said, I've done this before. Never again.
I will say, though, too, it's maybe you could make the argument that, and I almost wonder if they did this on purpose, there is a beer cart right outside of this ride, which I think is super funny.
In the back, yeah.
It's one of the few beer carts in the park, and they put it outside the only kids ride. And I think this is truly just a beer cart for dads. They have a Michelada cart right outside this place. It's one of the few places in the park you get a Michi. So that's a fail. 1 for 2. All right, moving on to test number 3, the smartphone test. Does the queue of this ride have enough to keep you off of your phone? Well, seeing as how we just shat on the queue for 10 minutes.
Okay, I will say I'll make the argument that it's so fast that I actually am not on my phone because we're just walking on the ride.
You know
so
what?
I would say yes.
You know what? This argument has been made on another episode. I disagree. I think
you're not waiting long enough to go on your phone.
I understand the argument. However, I think this specific test should be reflective of the quality of the queue.
Yeah,
and the experience you get while going through the queue.
Also, let's just put it this way. Average wait time of this ride, 25 minutes. 25 minutes in this ride.
Yeah, you're going to maybe peek. You're going to take a peek.
You're not going to be pleased, I'll tell you that. 5 minutes, you're walking through, it's like, sure, look, there's a phone booth.
That means that on an average day, you are waiting out in that switchback. At least you're doing at least one switchback.
Like a normie is definitely not looking at every poster.
We're failing it. 1 for 3.
Uh-oh.
Hey, you know what? We've had some world-class attractions on this podcast that
came back.
That have started 1 for 3.
And they came back. Number 4. Oh, I don't think this is going to be one, though.
Oh, shit.
Number 4, the Tony Stark test. How innovative is this attraction? Does it push theme park tech forward?
Okay, I would argue yes.
I'd love to hear the argument.
No. I guess I would say you're saying now.
No, just in general, even if did it push it forward at that time?
I still, as a kid who who obviously not like you guys, I was really floored by the Randall thing was cool to me. The scent thing was cool to me. The mirror thing I thought it was clever.
All done before.
All done before.
Pepper's ghost mirror thing, scent soaring over
but
California.
I didn't know that.
Projection,
I didn't know it was done before.
Projection. I don't think this is the first ride to use projections. This is one of the few theme park rides that actively looks backward in that it has the same animatronics from the previous version.
Timeless,
and they just
perhaps.
They put a different costume on it. The one argument you could make was Roz the first instance of this.
That's what I was wondering. When was the first soundboard?
Yes.
I think Crush might have predated this.
Whenever this came out, we were high school or whatever. I just remember we either go to Knott's or here or Disneyland. So you're kind of okay, that was pretty fucking cool because Knott's was not doing
That's fair.
I love Knott's,
on a
but
local level.
Yeah, right.
But
on a local level.
But the thing is now, Amanda, we're beyond the saddest pod days.
Yeah.
Now we have a global audience.
Yeah, right. And if they're in
we have probably 2 people in Australia and a person in the Netherlands
or in
watching.
Shanghai who is this is
if it's that important, we could bring it back one day in some sort of appeal or something, right?
I think I'm gonna vote a fail for now.
For today, it's a definite fail for me.
Oh, okay.
Would you have as a pass just for posterity purposes?
No. It's okay. But I do think like Indiana, right? You know the when the ball with the ball?
Yeah.
Like was that like that's innovative, right? You're saying
Yeah.
like that kind of thing.
That was innovative. The ride system itself was innovative.
Right. The okay, I
motion
see.
simulator on a moving vehicle.
Fine. Perhaps it was just a one-track ride.
Yeah. All right, that's 1 for 4. This is going great. Number 5, the Hollywood test. Can this attraction be adapted for the silver screen? Does it have a comprehensible story? This one,
Hell fucking yeah.
I think for sure. I
Hell
think
yeah,
it does
it
one of the
does.
best jobs of telling a story
Yes.
in a dark ride.
Yes.
It's not the best in general, but it does a good job.
Yes.
Aside from leaving out the emotional punch of the well-earned ending. But, other than that, I do think this is based off of a movie. It does a good job of rehashing that movie in a way that doesn't feel too rushed. I think it's a pass.
Pass.
All right. Nice. Back on the board. 2 for 5. Moving on to test number 6, the Simpson test. How likely is this ride to be replaced with something new?
I don't know. I just feel like it's still standing after whatever many years. I'm like, that's awesome.
That's just because they haven't found the
thing.
No,
they're
no,
actually
no.
gonna
You
get rid
got
of
a
it.
nice little slice of real estate here if you remove this attraction for perhaps an Avatar
Pandora,
experience.
Yeah, it's for sure.
Not to say
going.
that's going to happen there, but
It's
something's going to come along. We're like, there's too much dead space around it. that
Dude,
it's
every
like,
year I'm afraid of it.
This guy's gonna for sure go.
Fail.
That's another fail. We're 2 for 6, by the way. That means the only way we could get this in is by debating it.
Is this the worst ride you guys have ever
Oh,
reviewed?
by far, so far.
I think we've had a 2 for 5 though, right? At
No,
some
we've
point?
never had
At
a
this,
2
at this
we've
point
never
in the
had
show.
a 2 for
Sad.
6. We've never had that.
No,
don't know.
this is going to be quite a comeback, right?
If we could get this to 6, we could debate it, and then you could have your day in the sun, Amanda. But we have to pass the rest of these. And
if this ride passes at this point, I think people are going to quit this show.
let's go to test number 7, the signature moment test. Can the ride hold its own without its signature moment? Is it a one-trick pony?
No, I think it has multiple signature moments.
What is the signature moment of
Exactly.
this ride?
I would say that's a good thing, no?
I would say it's the door.
The door room.
The door room would probably be the signature moment. And if you remove that,
This ride sucks.
Sad.
it kind of does.
It does without the door room. I would say it just becomes like average to below average, but I don't know if it's like a bad, like it's, I don't know, without
It
the door
sure
room.
is hell ain't world class. If you
Yeah,
remove
it's
that
not-
door scene, it doesn't have a climax.
Oh, but yeah, it's a goodbye.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's go
that's
through
true.
the scenes that like you start in the city.
Yeah.
And then you go into the sushi restaurant, which is a well done scene. And then there's the locker room. There's that weird break room with those two like nerdy teenage guys.
The door scene is the only scene where I
The
bought the
CDA.
idea of feeling like I was in something bigger than just some little Fantasyland dark
I agree.
ride.
I agree with that.
And
I think this is a fail.
it's a,
Ugh,
it's
I
a
know.
fail.
I already knew.
Which means
I already knew
Is it
coming
already
into
out?
this.
it's already out. 2%.
Well-
2%. Is the only ride to ever fail before the sponsor throw, which, by the way, we would like to thank our sponsors now. We'll be right back. And we're back. Hope you're still here to see how far this guy could fall.
In the name of due diligence, we must proceed.
That's right. Test number 8, the premature detraculation test. Does this ride finish too soon?
No. Wait. Too soon?
That's right. Is it too short? Are you left unsatisfied?
Yes, but I also am like, I guess I never thought about that. Like, how can I change? Yeah, I don't know.
Shockingly, I have to say, I do think this is a good length for a ride. I wish there was that added scene of Mike and Sulley saying goodbye, particularly Sulley saying goodbye
Yeah.
to Boo. However, you could put that scene right where that weird gap between Roz is.
Mhm, yeah.
I will say that ending with Roz does give me a satisfying ending. So I actually am going to pass this one.
I don't think there's like a crap ton of scenes, but it moves through it so slow, and this is almost like a bad like.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this a pass, but it's almost like a slight diss because every time I get off it, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Now I go use my lightning lane for Mission Breakout. Like,
Yeah.
glad we got that. Glad, like, that was cute, but I'm like, I'm happy to get out of here. Let's go.
So that's a pass then. Yes.
It's a pass. Yeah.
No, wow.
I
how
would
about
pass
that?
all of them, but
Yeah.
you're
No,
not-
you wouldn't.
Yeah, I would.
No, you wouldn't. All right, that's 3 for 8. Sick.
Oh, shit.
Let's move to test number 9. Test number 9, the exit hall test. Do you see people be physically excited getting off of this ride? Do they have that bounce in their step?
I would say yes. I've seen the bounce. I don't know if it's like consistent. I'm just saying I've seen the bounce.
But realistically, no. There's
Yelling at you.
there's no way. There's no way there's a bounce. There's no bounce on this ride.
Bounce.
I've never seen someone get off this ride and be like,
Hell
gotta
yeah.
get on that again.
I bounce off it in the sense of like I need to get to my next lightning lane, but I don't
You
bounce
run
off
out.
it. I don't walk through those metro white painted exit halls and think, man, let's lap this sucker.
Yeah, I know. No one's, trying to get back on this ride.
Yeah, have I ever done that?
I mean, this is actually very similar to the ET ride, where at the end ET says your name. In this particular case, Roz talks to you, but it's not like saying your name. However, ET ride, it has other things going for it where I would actually want to get back on it again. Whereas this, I'm just kind of like, all right,
That's fine.
That's cute enough. It's cute enough.
That's a little bounce. That's a bounce nonetheless.
Well, this test is not called the cute enough test. This is called the exit hall test. It's going to be a fail for me, and I'm guessing you could pass it just for your own sake.
It's okay.
Just lying down. Just lying down. All right, that's wow. That is 3 for 9.
Like a dog in the street.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Like
kind
a
of podcast would this be if you don't review the whole gamut?
Well, that's what we're doing here, and it's not doing well. Well, let's move on to test number 10. The fine wine test. Has this ride aged well? Has your opinion of the attraction appreciated or depreciated since your first experience? Or if it's a new ride, do you believe it will age well?
If for you it improved and you appreciate it more now, and that's how I feel.
I agree. I agree. I do think that I thought this ride was just kind of a minor reskin, but as the years have gone on, I have appreciated it for the dark ride that it is. So I would say that I would pass this.
It adds a lot of value to your day. I really think it does. There's not many dark rides in that park. You know what you're getting. You know that it's not an e-ticket. Obviously, you know that it's not a world-class attraction. But that being said, I still go back to it once in a while. I still, I do enjoy it now. And now that we've brought up all these fun little facts, I will continue to appreciate it appreciate it further over time.
I feel like I didn't care. Like I cared, and then I started being more of a nerd over time, and then like what you're saying, like forums and message boards and shit. Like they're talking about it, so I was like, this is me just reading the mouse news.
There's no way this didn't feel like a number one ride for you back the first time you rode it, right?
It blossomed into the number one ride.
It blossomed to be like, oh, I do like it is underappreciated.
Will
and
you
I think
be sad when it closes?
Yes, I will be riding. We will be riding.
I'll go with you to ride this one last
absolutely.
ride.
Oh my god, that'd be so sad.
I'll ride this
Would
ride
you prefer
10 times
this
in a row with you.
Yes.
Would you prefer this over a Monsters Inc. coaster? Like if they in that same exact spot they had the land and they put
obviously not. I would love a door coaster. Yes. Yeah,
We're
you
doing
win.
it.
You win
Come
for
on,
that.
Disney. Amanda's spoken.
That's so cool. Yeah.
That is a pass, and that is a score of 4 out of 10.
Yay.
That's
I
F
think
minus.
You probably need more like a wah wah. But that's the lowest score we've ever had for a ride on this show. But hey, it had to happen sooner or later. We have to have some fails. It gives you context. But I still think this is a ride that has plenty of merit and things to offer. I like it. It's not a world-class attraction, but I get on it when I can. Heavy emphasis when I can.
But it could be a
When I
world
want
of
to
class attraction to you.
That does it for this episode of For Your Amusement. Thank you guys for watching or listening. If you are listening or watching, you know what I meant. But if you're listening, make sure to subscribe and rate it 5 stars. It helps us keep making this podcast. And for watching, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching us over there on Watcher Podcasts, the YouTube channel. Thank you to Amanda for joining us, for making your return to the podcast game.
This is fun.
I'm eager to get you back on here where we could discuss
A good ride?
I didn't say that. Now you said that.
Hey.
We'll discuss any ride on this show. I love rides.
Give it a little bit of thought.
Yeah,
See what
Okay,
we'd love.
okay.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back here. This has been a blast.
Do you have anything you'd like to plug? Oh, Amanda, actually, for her, I will plug the hat she's wearing is her own design. It's a hat on top of a hat.
Thank you.
You can find that over at mandy.inc, I believe, on Instagram.
Yeah, thanks.
She makes great art over there. Yeah, is there anything?
Nothing to plug. I was just happy to be here. This was so fun.
Plug Saddest Podcast. Go plug another podcast on this podcast. But no, this was a great time. I guess we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.